There is a table, set for a meal 3,000 years old. Bitter herbs, unleavened bread, a cup lifted in the dark. The room is small, somewhere in Spain, somewhere in Poland. The year does not matter. For 2,000 years, it was the same year. A father reads what his father read. A child listens, half asleep. And at the end, 5 words. The same 5 words. 100 countries at once. Next year in Jerusalem, they had never seen it. Most never would. A prayer with no army behind it. Empires do not come back. That is the one rule history keeps. Babylon fell and stayed fallen. Rome became a ruin for tourists. The Assyrians, the Hittites, gone. Not defeated, erased. A scattered people forgets its language, then its name, then itself. 2 generations, and the grandchildren forget. 3, and there is nothing left to forget. Israel was scattered for 60, across 100 nations. That people should not exist. It should be a chapter in an old book. Instead, it is tonight's headline. Think about what that means. A man in Tel Aviv orders coffee in Hebrew, a language that was dead, spoken only in prayer, read off scrolls. Now children argue in it at school. A soldier stands on a border your grandfather's map never had. Fruit grows in sand where nothing grew. The hills a traveler once called desolate. None of this was likely. All of it was impossible. And it happened in one lifetime. A man born in exile died a citizen. We got used to it, the way you get used to anything. We stopped being amazed by the thing that should amaze us most. So here's the question I cannot put down. Why this nation? Why did this one come back? And why now, on a clock the world can read? Men who do not believe in God feel it. Something here breaks the pattern. A hidden hand, moving pieces. Ezekiel saw it first. A valley of dry bones in the sun. He watched them stand up and live. A nation, he was told, out of its own grave. He wrote it as a riddle. We read it as a headline. A riddle that comes true is no riddle. It is a warning or a promise. But a sign is not a safe place. We want our miracles to end the story. This one only begins it. The prophets did not stop at the bones. What they wrote next is not comfortable. Nations gathering, a pressure closing in, the whole world fixed on one strip of land. Not to bless it, to solve it. And something worse than any army. A peace that is offered. A peace that is a trap. Safety for men too tired to be afraid. A hand that smiles while it lies. The deception does not look like a monster. It looks like relief. So that is where we are going. Not to argue dates, not to draw charts on a wall, to look at the one clock God hung in the open, to ask what the regathering was for, and what it is moving toward, to look at the peace the world is about to offer, and see whose hand is behind it. Some of this will steady you. Some of it should not. I will not tell you what to feel. I will show you what is there. By the end, Jerusalem will not read the same. Because the question was never about a far-off nation. The question is about you. If you want to walk through this with me, follow the channel and stay. What comes next is not for the casual scroll. It is for the ones still paying attention. Open a Bible to the back third, where the print gets strange, not the stories everyone knows. The harder pages, the prophets, men from 26 centuries ago, hated in their own time. They watched the nation fall and said it was not the end. Jeremiah said it from a prison while the city burned around him. 70 years, he said, then home. He bought a field he would never farm. land in a country about to be conquered, faith with a deed of sale attached. 70 years later, the gates opened. Ezekiel went further, already in exile by a river in Babylon. God did not show him a better year. God showed him a graveyard, a valley, the floor covered in bones, dry bones. No hope of being anything. Can these bones live? He gave the only honest answer. Lord, you know. Then the rattling started, bone to bone, sinew, flesh, and still no breath in them. Then the wind came, and they stood. These bones, God said, are the whole house of Israel. They say we are cut off. Tell them I will open their graves. Then it happened. Only worse. Rome came, and Rome did not do things halfway. The city fell. The temple burned. The people marched out in chains, sold in the markets of Egypt. And this time, no clock ticked toward home. The silence went on and on. The land changed hands a dozen times. None of them theirs. The Jews belonged everywhere and nowhere. Tolerated in good years, hunted in bad ones. Hebrews slipped out of the streets. You prayed in it. You did not buy bread in it. A holy fossil, ancient and dead. No one expected a dead language to wake. And here is what I want you to sit with. For most of those centuries, no one read it the way we just did. The scholars made it a metaphor. The bones were the church. The land was heaven. And you can see why. There was no nation, no language, no map. For 60 generations, the literal reading looked foolish. Then the 20th century happened, and the metaphor ran into a hard fact. The bones did rattle, the graves did open, not in a sermon. In the newspapers, the prophets meant exactly what they said, and we had spent centuries explaining it away. That should make a man careful with the rest of it. But the return was never a reward. Ezekiel says it twice. Not for your sake, house of Israel. For my holy name. It was a vindication, proof in front of the nations of who keeps his word. God said he would do the impossible. And then he did it, not because they earned it, because he is the kind of God who finishes. Paul closed the case in 5 words. The gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. He does not take it back when we fail. And if he kept that promise for 2,000 years, the promises over your own life are not in doubt. So the foundation is laid. In stone, not in sentiment. A buried people walked out of the grave. A dead language is spoken by toddlers. A promise was kept to the decade. If that were the whole story, this would be comfortable. You could close it and go on with your evening, but a promise kept is not a danger past. All of that is the part the world admires. It is finished. It is on the maps. What I have not shown you is what came next. The prophets did not stop at the resurrection. They kept their eyes open. What they saw closing in is not over. The bones are standing. Now watch what comes to test them. Open any news feed, any morning. War in one place, an election in another. And somewhere on the page, Jerusalem, a city the size of a suburb. No soil, no great river, no vast population. By every measure, it should not matter. And the most powerful men on earth lose sleep over it. Presidents stake careers on it. Empires bruise themselves against it. Treaties written over a few square miles of stone. Ask a strategist why. His reasons are real and too small. There is a weight there that does not match the size. Zechariah saw the weight first. A cup, he said, that makes the nation stagger. Start with what should not have survived its first day. May 1948. A man reads a declaration in a small room. a nation 11 minutes old. Before the ink dries, 5 armies cross the borders: Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, tanks, aircraft, trained soldiers. On the other side, farmers with old rifles, survivors off the boats from Europe. Every analyst gave them weeks. The math was not close, and the new country won. Then it was attacked again and again, and it kept not dying. Even the soldiers said the math never explained it. Then there is the ground itself. When they came back, they found a ruin, swamp in the north, desert in the south. A traveler named Mark Twain rode through it. He called it desolate, mournful, a land sitting in ashes, no forests, no springs. Isaiah had written the desert would blossom, that the parched ground would break open with water. For centuries, that read like wishful poetry. Now there are vineyards in the Negev, orchards where Twain saw only sand. The same hills feed the people who once pitied them. The land waited, the way the language waited, the way the people waited, and the gathering is not finished. Jeremiah gave 2 strange images. First, fishermen, men who would call the people home gently, by hope, by invitation. And for a while, that is how it went. Then he said something darker. After the fishermen, the hunters, people driven home, not drawn, pushed out by fear. Look at the last few years, honestly. Old hatreds everyone swore were buried, back in the open. Families that felt safe, quietly leaving. They do not all come home because they long to. Some come because they have to. Put the pieces on one table. A nation that should not exist. A language that should be dead. A land that should be desert. A people that should have dissolved. Anyone, alone, you could call coincidence. All of them, in one lifetime, in one place, you cannot. That is a pattern, and a pattern has an author. You do not have to believe in God to feel it. Hard men feel it. They call it the file that never closes. They are circling something they will not name. We will name it. The prophets already did. This is the clock God set in the middle of history. A clock is not hung to be admired. It is hung to be read. But a clock that only told good news is no warning. The same survival that amazes us draws the danger in. A people that cannot be destroyed becomes the thing the world cannot leave alone. The cup does not stay on a shelf. It gets passed around the table of nations, and every hand that lifts it shakes. There is a pressure building now, not in headlines that scream, in headlines that hum under the noise. Alliances shifting, old enemies finding new reasons to agree on one question: what to finally do about Jerusalem. That is the next thing the prophets watched, and it is moving. Watch how alliances form. Nations do not befriend out of affection. They align around fear, around a thing they want gone. The powers around Israel had little in common. Different masters, different wars. A strategist would have said they could never unite. And yet, quietly, they have been finding each other. Not over trade, over one shared sentence: that the small country is the problem to solve. The prophets named some of these peoples. We argue about the exact map, and we should be honest that we argue. But the shape is not in dispute. A ring tightening around one land. Here is where most people reach for a single villain, and here is where I will not. It is tempting to point at one man, one flag, one capital. There, that is it. It makes the fear easier to hold. But that is not what the text describes. What is gathering is not a man. It is a system. a direction, a spirit. Funding from one place, weapons from another. Suits do part of the work, militias do the rest. No one of them is the whole. You cannot arrest a direction. The prophets understood this. They did not warn about one bad king. They warned about a pattern. New mask, same hand. And the pressure has a goal. Closure. To make the file finally close. The world is tired of the conflict that will not end. The funerals, the cameras, the same maps for a lifetime. A tired world wants a solution at any price. Not a just one. A final one. Something that lets everyone look away. That hunger is the most useful thing a deceiver could ask for. A people desperate to stop being afraid will sign anything. A world desperate for quiet will applaud anyone. Anyone who says, I can make this stop. I can guarantee the peace. I can secure the city. And the prophet said it would be spoken, not as a threat, as an offer. Isaiah used a phrase that should stop you cold. A covenant with death, an agreement with the grave, signed by men who thought themselves clever. We have made a deal, they said. The disaster will pass us by. Read it slowly. It is not ancient at all. The belief that the right treaty, the right strong man, can buy us out of the reckoning, that we can bargain with the grave and walk away. Isaiah's answer was blunt. The covenant with death will not stand. The very thing they trusted to save them is the thing that buries them. The deception works because it imitates the real thing. A lie that looked like a lie would fool no one. The false peace looks like the true one. The real king will end war. So the system offers that, early for a price. The true covenant was sealed in blood that gave life. The false one is sealed in fear and takes it quietly. Every counterfeit needs an original. So when a peace asks you to trust a man instead of God, to feel safe because of a treaty, you are not looking at something new. The serpent did not tell Eve to rebel. He told her she could be safe without obeying. The offer has not changed. Only the size of the audience. So you have the two halves now. The miracle that proves God keeps his word, and the trap that sells a forgery of it. Most teaching stops here. A villain to fear, a date to dread. But there is a turn coming. Because if the deceiver is a system, not a man, it did not begin in our headlines. And it will not end with one ruler's death. It has worn many crowns, signed many treaties, burned many cities, the same spirit that scattered the bones. The whole time. Once you see that, the news stops being a list of accidents. It starts looking like a campaign. Step back far enough and the centuries rhyme. There is always an empire, a throne that demands more than taxes. It demands the soul. It demands to be called God. Babylon built a golden image and ordered the world to bow. 3 men would not. The furnace was heated 7 times hotter. Rome said it differently. Caesar is Lord, and the ones who said, no, only Christ, were fed to the lions. Different uniforms, the same demand. Bow to the system or be crushed by it. The faces change so often we think each is the first. But it is one long thing. Daniel saw it most clearly, the dream that left him sick for days. Not a single tyrant. Beasts rising out of a churning sea. Kingdom after kingdom, each devouring the last. And out of the last, a small horn, speaking great things against the Most High, wearing down the saints. Notice what he was not shown. Not a name, an office, a seat, a function that outlives the man in it. Kings come and go. The horn remains. That is what the villain hunters miss. They scan for one face. They miss the chair he is sitting in. And the masterpiece of that throne is not war. War is crude. War wakes people up. Its masterpiece is peace. A peace it controls. A chained man who feels free never reaches for the key. So it does not always come with armies. Sometimes with a handshake, a summit, a signing, smiling men, and a document. It offers to end the conflict no one else could. And the world, exhausted, will call it the greatest achievement in history. They will not read the small print that the price is allegiance. This is what the old teachers got half right. They saw a false peace coming. Good. They were wrong to pin it on one man and a 7-year contract. The covenant with death is older than any treaty. There was a covenant that mattered, not signed by a politician. Daniel was given 70 weeks. Men have fought over every number, and it is not simple. But the heart is not hidden. At the center, an anointed one. He would confirm a covenant with many and be cut off. Not for himself, the text says. Tell me that does not describe a hill outside Jerusalem. A man lifted between two thieves, confirming a covenant in his own blood. In the middle of it, sacrifice would end. And it did. The veil tore, top to bottom. The real covenant was confirmed there. And here the ground should move under you. All of this sounds like distant history, until you see the same offer on your own table. You are tired too. You are afraid of what is coming too. And there is always a voice ready to promise the noise will stop. Trust the system. Trust the arrangement. Bow a little. It is only a formality. The covenant with death does not ask for betrayal. It asks for a small, reasonable trade. Your trust for your fear. There are only ever two pieces on offer. One was bought for you by men who would not bow. The other is sold to you by a power that wants you on your knees. Every soul has had to choose. So the turn is this. I will say it once and let it sit. The story was never only about a nation across the sea. The nation is the sign. The sign is for you. The same God who kept his word for 2,000 years keeps it with you. The same deceiver who wore 100 crowns reaches for yours. You are not a spectator watching prophecy on a screen. You are inside it. That is the weight I want in your hands. Not fear. Fear is easy and useless. Clarity. Because the next thing is not about kingdoms at all. It is about one heart. Listening right now, deciding which piece it will trust. There is a mercy that does not feel like mercy. It feels like loss, like the floor giving way. A man builds his life on a few solid things: his work, his strength, his plans, and one by one, they are taken from his hands. He calls it the worst season of his life. He is not wrong about the pain. He is often wrong about the cause. Some of what we lose is not punishment. It is rescue. We do not look up while we stand on something else. We look up when there is nothing left but the looking. That is the pattern in the whole story of that nation. Made strong, so they would come home. Jeremiah gave that season a name. The time of Jacob's trouble, a day so dark no other would be like it. Distress that strips a man to nothing he can hold. If he had stopped there, it would be despair. He did not stop there. 5 words change the color of it. But he shall be saved out of it. Not saved from it. Out of it. Through the middle of the dark, not around. The trouble is real. The trouble is not the end. It is a corridor. And there is a door at the end. That is what the comfortable preaching never tells you. The stripping away is how the rescue begins. So watch yourself in the dark seasons. That is when the false peace is most attractive. When you are afraid, you will trade anything for safety. You will make a refuge of a bank account. You will ask a marriage to carry what it cannot. You will trust your own plans to save you. These are not evil things. That is exactly what makes them dangerous. The covenant with death is rarely signed with something wicked. It is signed with something good we ask to be God. A good marriage, made a savior, becomes an idol that breaks. A good career, made an identity, becomes a grave with a salary. The system does not need you to worship a statue, only to put your last trust in anything but the one who keeps his word. Most people sign it without noticing they picked up the pen. But here is what I cannot get past. The God in this story does not wait at home with his arms crossed. He does not say, "Fix yourself, then return." He is the one who scattered a people, then went and gathered them. He watched them run for 2,000 years and kept the porch light on. The prophets are full of his anger, read them to the end. The anger always breaks, and underneath is something that will not let go. "How can I give you up?" he says through Hosea. Like a man who cannot finish the sentence. That is not a system that wants you kneeling in fear. That is a father who would rather be wounded than lose you. And he has been wounded. The hands that reach still carry the marks. So where does that leave you? On an ordinary evening, watching an ordinary screen, somewhere the old prophets would have envied. They strained to see what you read without looking up. They did not get to see the bones stand. You did. They did not see the language wake. You did. They did not see the nations gather. You are watching it. That is not a reason for fear. Fear makes you small. It is a reason for clarity. You are living inside a chapter, not at the safe distance of a reader. The pages are turning under your own feet. And the question is not what will happen to the world. It is quieter. Which piece will you be standing on? Because the story does not end in the dark. I would be lying if I let it sound like it does. The time of trouble is a corridor, not a tomb. And the door opens from the other side. Everything we have walked through has been moving toward one moment. When the pressure breaks, when the noise stops, and the sky itself answers. Not with another treaty, not with another strong man and his promises. With a return, feet on a mountain, a face the world will finally recognize. That chapter, the nation has not reached. Neither have we. But it is written. Stay with me. Picture the morning after the worst night the world has known. The armies have gathered. The city is surrounded. By every calculation, it is over. The strength that nation trusted has failed. The allies have gone quiet. The phones do not ring. They are down to the one thing they spent 2,000 years avoiding. They have nowhere left to look but up. And in that silence, the sky opens. The Lord goes out, Zechariah says. His feet stand on the Mount of Olives, the same hill men walk today. And the mountain splits beneath him, not to Rome, not to Washington, to the hill of the covenant. And he does not come to negotiate. That season is over. The siege breaks in an instant. The gathered nations scatter like smoke. No long war, no contest, only arrival. But it is what happens next I cannot read without stopping. When the dust settles over the quiet streets, the people of that nation look up at their rescuer. And for the first time in 2,000 years, they see his face. They will look on me, Zechariah wrote. The one they pierced, The word sits there like a wound that never closed. They will see the marks in the hands, and the whole nation will understand all at once that the king they waited for and the man they turned away were never two people. Zechariah says they will mourn. But listen to how. Not the wail of the defeated. They will mourn as a parent mourns an only child. The grief of love, not of fear. They weep not because they were beaten, because they finally see the one who came back for them is the one they let be nailed to a tree. And he came back anyway, not with a list of charges, with pierced hands, still extended. The blindness lifts, the running stops. The Father does what fathers in his stories do. He does not wait at the gate. He runs. So bring it into one frame. The bones that stood, the language that woke, the desert that bloomed, the nation that would not die, the false peace, and the true one bought on a hill, the long night and the morning that answered. These were never separate stories. One story, told across centuries, in the only language slow enough to hold it. A people you can watch on the evening news. That is what the clock was for, to show every generation that the one who promised performs. The headlines you scroll past are not noise. They are the hand of the clock, moving in the open. You were given this sight to know what time it is in your own life. And here is the only thing that finally matters. The same door that opens for that nation is open tonight for you. You do not have to wait for armies on a hill. You do not have to run for 2,000 years before you turn around. The peace bought on that hill was bought for you by name, not the cheap peace the world is selling. The real one, the costly one, the one that holds, and not because you fixed yourself first. It is offered the way it always was, by a God with scars, still reaching. The false peace asks you to bow and feel safe. The true peace asks you to stop running and be held. You are standing on one of them right now. And the clock is not slowing down to wait for you. I have shown you what is there. I have tried not to tell you what to feel. That work belongs to the silence after this ends. If it gave you something to carry, do not carry it alone. Send it to 5 people who are paying attention. If you want to keep walking through these things, follow along and stay. And tell me in the comments, not what you were told to think, but what moved, what you are still turning over, what you want me to take apart next. I read them. The next video often comes from what you leave there. Now turn the screen off for a moment. Sit in the quiet you have not let yourself sit in. And think of the table, the candles low, the 5 whispered words. Next year in Jerusalem, a prayer with no army that outlived every empire that mocked it. It was answered because the one who heard it keeps his word. Watch the nation, and you will always know the hour. But the one it points to is already at the door.